Hi everybody, welcome to another Low on Health Rambling. Today is September 26th, 2010. It's about 8:30 p.m., kind of a night of recording. Not really that much going on this week. Probably the more notable thing that actually happened this week is I just came back from my mom's. Basically every 2 weeks I go to my mom and basically have dinner at her place, in which case it was steak, mashed potatoes, and corn, which for me is a treat considering my normal dinners are just 2 chicken breasts or some chicken nuggets or nachos and cheese, which is one of my recent ones. But it was nice to kind of get over there and whatnot. And basically, when I was over there, they had got a movie from Netflix, and I decided to watch it with them, which was basically Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Lightning Thief. This basically movie, we watched it, and this is definitely one of the movies I would never normally watch. Kind of one of those bad movies I would think about watching. But very much as bad as I thought it was going to be or knew it was going to be. It's basically kind of a modern-day Clash of the Titans, if you really look at it that way, in which case, not that great whatsoever. Tons of plot holes. And I'm not talking about plot holes like how can they drive across America and where do they get the money for this, but just basic fundamental plot holes in the overarching plot, which didn't make much sense. So not that good of a movie. The effects are decent. I mean, it's okay. The acting is okay. I mean, the cast does seem to be very heavy on the white side, but not that much diversity. But what can you expect? Not that great of a movie, but you kind of know that, just kind of going in on it. Basically kind of a modern day, Clash of the Titans in modern day times, so whatever. But that was kind of fun, catching up on Mom and whatnot. But that kind of will bring me to basically my whole little slew of kind of bad movies that I've watched recently. The next one I want to talk about is basically Tekken. Tekken, of course, is a fighting game. This is a fighting game movie, in which case, I watched this, of course, not expecting much, and really, again, wasn't that great of a movie. A little bit better than I thought. The effects were kind of cool, the fight sequences were decent, and the way they were actually able to produce a solid plot line out of the source material was actually pretty good. And so the Tekken movie, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not as bad as a Dead or Alive movie. That was pretty bad. This was actually definitely better than, I would say, probably the better of the fighting game movies. Definitely better than Street Fighter. Not the first Mortal Kombat was kind of good, but this movie, decent. Moving on here, another kind of not great movie that I watched recently was the Drawn Together movie. This was, of course, the Comedy Central show, which was parodying, different animated, stereotypes. In which case, I didn't even know what happened. Apparently, the show was canceled, and this is kind of a straight-to-DVD movie, which is that's the plot of the movie, actually. They find out they were canceled, and they try to figure out why they were canceled and try to get back on the air, which is really cool. I thought that was actually interesting for a movie to do that. Still not that good of a movie. Can't really recommend it to everybody. It's basically, if you watch the show, it's basically a very long episode of the show. It's just as cross and crass and rude and just gross as the show, but, whatever. Moving on here, another movie I watched recently that, of course, wasn't that great was the MacGruber movie. And, of course, the MacGruber movie is basically a SNL sketch, basically expanded into a movie in the classic lines of, The Night at the Roxbury, The Ladies' Man, and even Wayne's World and whatnot. In which case, I haven't watched SNL for a long time. The last good thing to come out of Saturday Night Live is probably Tina Fey and Tracy Morgan and whatnot, and Will Ferrell. But they haven't really done anything recently to wow me, in which case, I watched this to kind of just to see what they're going to do with it. And yeah, it's not that good whatsoever. Once again, another movie I really can't recommend to anybody. But I watched it just because, I've been playing games, but I've been breezing through the game so much, where basically I will have downtime, and I'll basically just watch these while I'm eating and whatnot. So, MacGruber, not that great of a movie. If you liked MacGruber, if you somehow like the sketch, you'll probably love the movie. Moving on here, because of all these kind of subpar movies, I decided to actually watch a great classic movie, which is, of course, Blazing Saddles. There was an HD torrent of this up, and I watched it, in which case, you gotta love the classic movies, and, anything that's basically, these type of movies, Life of Brian, History of the World, Mel Brooks. All the Mel Brooks films are great, in which case watching Blazing Saddles is just a nice, refreshing movie to watch after watching kind of all these subpar movies. I kind of don't like it when it goes fourth wall, when they run around from the studio and whatnot, but it's still just a great overall movie. And maybe kind of look into the other classic Mel Brooks films that I haven't watched. Apparently I've never seen Young Frankenstein, in which case I'm on the hunt of finding a good copy of Young Frankenstein to watch, because it's nice to watch these kind of old classic movies, in which case this is just a great classic one. Racism, of course, is a big underlying tone on this, but it's just done so well. It's a great movie. Moving on to other things I've watched. Apparently the new fall season is starting, in which case, of course, 30 Rock is one of the only American TV shows that I'm watching, live action ones, in which case I've stopped watching The Office after last season, in which case a lot of people have. The ratings have gone down for The Office. But I watched basically, the new season 5 opener for Office, in which case it's great, or not Office, but for 30 Rock, in which case it's great and funny. I can always recommend the 30 Rock. Basically, starting tonight, you have the new Dexter season, which I'm kind of iffy on. I could easily see me watching the new Dexter after this first episode and then stop watching Dexter. But then, of course, Family Guy also starts tonight, in which case they have an album premiere, which I'm kind of looking forward to, because there's not that much American TV I watch. Basically, right now, it's basically 30 Rock, True Blood isn't on anymore. When South Park starts up, again, I'll watch that. But there's really not that many other shows that I will watch, American-wise. That's mainly because I usually watch Japanese shows, Japanese animation and whatnot, in which case I haven't even been really watching that much of that. I stopped watching High School of the Dead, and I just recently finished watching Fate Stay Night, which of course is an old series, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years old. In which case I watched this series because a lot of people recommended Fate Stay Night to me because I like kind of the different abilities and different fighting techniques and kind of over-the-top characters and whatnot. But because of this being basically based off of kind of like a dating sim game, the plot in itself I didn't enjoy that much. I didn't really like the character. The battle sequences aren't that great. I will say it's probably because I was spoiled with watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. Going from that to something like this, this is kind of considered a sub-part of that, in which case it is. But I was surprised. More than one person recommended this to me, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I basically have been slowly eking out watching this over the course of probably 2 months just because I couldn't watch it in one big sitting because it just wasn't that entertaining to me. So, watch Fate Stay Night. To me, it wasn't that great. That's kind of all I've really been doing recently. Not that much going on. You kind of got the gaming season coming up. We've kind of been plowing through Halo Reach and whatnot. And then you got Dead Rising coming up and a bunch of other games coming up. And I'll probably discuss those more on a gaming review one, which I'll probably do soon. But other than that, work is work. I'm happy to have a job. The weeks are flying by now. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or because of maybe the workload is there. I like having a constant workload, and this job definitely has that. And I enjoy that immensely, having all this work kind of not piled onto me, but knowing that I'll get it done and it being a constant flow. I'm enjoying it, and basically the days will fly by and boom, it's the weekend again, which is just awesome. But other than that, as always, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.